Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Martial Way podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Shihan Hugo Perez from Montreal. He's the first official member of So-Kyokushin for North America and the director of the Perez Karate Center in Quebec. Throughout his career, Shihan Perez participated in many seminars held by renowned masters instructors and also participated in numerous national and international tournaments and world championships, including the World Championships held in Osaka in 2001. Shihan Perez has become one of the most recognized and respected referees and is central referee at the All Japan World Championships. Between 99 and 2004, he was supervisor of a team of bodyguards during special events, which I definitely want to talk to him about. In addition, he has personally been a bodyguard for celebrities like Robert De Niro, Sofia Loren, Jackie Chan. Again, we'll get into some of that. Shihan Perez opened his first dojo in 2011 in Quebec, and the dojo has since been expanding. He has a beautiful, beautiful dojo. We were just actually talking about it offline. So we'll speak about some of that because I know his students helped him out with that. So without further ado, please welcome Shihan Hugo Perez.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And you did your homework, huh?
Well, you're a legend in Kyokushin in Canada.
Oh,
Not just Canada. I mean, I think I mentioned to you earlier in the week, talking to some folks as I'm setting up podcasts and stuff, and they're asking me who's coming up. So you're obviously one of the names that I was speaking about, and everybody knows you. They do in Europe and stuff. So people cross paths with you or know of you and stuff. So you have big respect everywhere.
no, thank you. Thank you.
So I did do a bit of an intro there, but just for folks who perhaps don't know you and you want to give a little bit of background and stuff, how did this all start? Where did you first get started in Kyokushin?
I started martial arts when I was 9 years old. I was bullied as a kid
Uh,
because we were immigrants. So my parents were immigrants, and we were living in a neighborhood that they didn't like that much immigrants back in the days. So we
where
had
were your
to
folks from?
Chile.
Okay.
So, and I had to learn to defend myself. So my dad put me in a Taekwondo school for 6 months in '89, and I liked it. And so he brought me to a dojo, the Lamar Dojo in the East End,
Mhm.
in January of 1990. And since then, been doing Kyokushin Karate for 30 years now.
So it was Kyokushin just happened, just coincidental that it was a Kyokushin dojo, or
No, it was just like a neighbor who was doing Kyokushin, and he said it's a good school, good teacher. So my dad is like, okay, let's try it.
yeah. What made you stay?
The teacher, my teacher sensei now Shihan Sylvie,
Hmm.
was a big part of my Kyokushin background, and yeah, it was a good school, and I'm still friends with them, and I train with them sometimes with my students now, and my kid, which is something that I never thought about. Going back to my old dojo with my son, and he's doing classes with my old teacher, so that's something special.
Oh, that's really, really cool.
Yeah,
It's gone like full circle.
exactly.
Yeah. And were you competing as a kid as well?
I from white belt to black belt, I did like semi-contact tournaments.
Yeah.
Never won, never once.
Really?
Yeah, and I was getting disappointed in myself because I was doing tournaments after tournaments and never winning anything. So in 1995, I was refereeing like a little semi-contact tournament, and I registered to do that tournament without telling my dad or my parents or my mom, and I had like a little like team helping me and coaching me, and I won, and that gave me like the kick in the butt to go do more tournaments and train more, and I joined the competing team. So since then, been doing karate like tournaments and coaching and training more, and it's very awesome. I'm very happy.
So that was like a boost to your confidence, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the bullying? That did that continue on when you were younger? Or how did that or did just the karate itself kind of give you enough self-confidence just to overcome that?
The karate gave me self confidence, and when you tell bullies in their face, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they understand, others didn't. So you had to like defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one day, like they were trying to like bully my parents because they didn't speak that much French, and that got me mad because they were like teasing my parents and bullying my parents, and they jump on me and they defended myself, and since then like they didn't like attack me or say anything else because they knew that I wouldn't put up with it anymore.
That's the thing with bullies. Once you
Yeah,
stand, it seems like once you stand up and the curtain drops, they're like stuck there like with no clothes on, almost like, what do I do now?
exactly. But
Yeah.
the confidence came from the dojo. Like my parents would tell me, defend yourself. But like I have kids now. I tell my kids, don't do this, and the kids are gonna say, yeah, yeah, okay. But my teacher's like, defend yourself, and I'm happy to listen to her because there's no more bullies.
Now, is that something that you take forward now when you're teaching
Yeah.
yourself and to kids? And how
Yes.
and how do you get that across? Do you see it as a physical thing, or is it more like character, mental, how they carry themselves?
It's although like when you see somebody walking down the street, always looking down, like a little like Bambi, like I say to the kids, it's an easy target. So I'm telling them, when you go somewhere, don't act tough, just act normal, but have like do eye contact and don't get bullied by anybody by accepting like to tell you like the people would say you're this, you're that. Don't accept it. Just stand up for yourself and never attack first. Always defend yourself, but don't let the other people take advantage of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a message that similar to what Sensei Steve was talking about, and
Mm.
just being aware of your surroundings, keep that head up.
Yeah,
How you carry yourself, it goes a long ways as well. Yeah, I think yeah, bullies like to look at it like predators,
exactly.
looking for the weakest animal.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, yeah.
I tell my kids that like don't get bullied, and if you have something, just talk to me, talk to the teacher. But if the it happens again, don't accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, at what point did you know that Kyokushin was going to be something more than just a hobby that was going to become like a life pursuit that you're going to take on?
I think it was in 1993 when Shihan Sylvie asked me, "You want to help teach kids? Be an assistant instructor."
Mm,
And I always looked at my teachers as amazing people, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I can go help other kids." Um, and then I started teaching, being assistant for adults, and they would look at me like, "Who's this kid? Trying to teach us?" But I still have students that they started back in the days, and now like they're done and they're teaching it like for themselves. So I'm very
that
happy.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That you've taken them that far. That's
yeah,
incredible. So, and you've done a lot of tournaments and stuff, and I noticed that some of your tournaments brought you to Japan as well, right?
yeah. One tournament.
Oh, it was just the one? I thought it was two for some reason. And how did that come about, and how did you do there?
In 19, no, in 2001, we had the North American tournament in Montreal,
Hmm.
and we have like Japanese delegates and we have people from Costa Rica. It was a big tournament back then, and they were choosing two person per lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, and super heavyweight.
Hmm.
And in all North America, we were 8 people going, so we had to fight and prove ourselves.
Get your
I
place
lost it. Huh?
to find your place, your spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I fought a guy in the finals from Montenegro,
Hmm.
and I lost to him
Hmm.
because of the weight. And he was champion. I was second place, and I still, I'm happy that I had that fight. That it's still like even how many years now? Almost 18, 19 years. It's still like there's something wrong with it. So um, And then we got like our plane tickets to go to Japan to represent North America. And that was awesome. That was in Osaka.
Yeah. What was that event like? What was the experience going there?
That was the first time I would take the the plane.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I was
It's a big trip for your first one.
yeah. So we did Montreal to Dallas and then Dallas to Osaka. And that was something special because that was my first time in the airplane, first time traveling that far without my parents, without anybody. And I was traveling alone because my team didn't go. And I had like other dojos helping me out from Quebec. But from my dojo, nobody came. I was alone. So that was something difficult. But you were in Japan and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the experience? Were you just overwhelmed when you first got there?
Yeah, you go there, you arrive there, and back then we didn't have phones, with easy
Right.
Google Translate. I still have my camera with my roll in, and you have to, and you have to when you finish, old school camera. So I don't have many pictures because it would cost a fortune to take pictures. Um, but it was like in my dreams, I would always say to myself, one day I'm gonna go to a world tournament. And you fight in a arena like Montreal is like the Bell Center. I
Hmm.
think Toronto you have the Raptors Center, something like that. And it was full of people, and you were fighting in one ring, so everybody was looking at you, and that was pretty cool. And I was seeing legends like Sean Cameron Quinn and Matsui being there. Feitosa was there.
Hmm.
In my group, we had Kazumi, Feitosa. You had Francisco Filio being the coach, so that was pretty awesome.
How did you do?
I won my first fight against a guy from Australia,
Hmm.
and then my second fight was a guy with a Japanese named Kadoi,
Hmm.
and we had an extension together, and he won, and he came second in that tournament.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So how old were you then?
I was
Roughly 20?
yeah.
So what did that experience give you? Did it affect your when you came back? Did it affect your training or your thoughts about Kyokushin at all? Or
And when I came back, I was pretty injured because in 2000 I had like my knee done test and I had broken ribs.
oh
Uh,
wow.
then I did a tournament in March of 2001, and I told the doctor on the side, if I fall down and I can't talk, it's because I have a broken rib, and um, just so you know. And she's like, yeah, we recommend you. I'm like, yeah, I understand, but it's for Japan, so I cannot wait another 2 years. So, and I came back from Japan like pretty bruised up with my ribs and shin injury, and then I had my knee injuries as well. So after that tournament, it was too difficult to restart. I had an operation in my knees after, so it was, and then I
Oh
stopped.
wow.
Yeah,
You stopped competing, you mean?
yeah. But
Yeah.
instead of being in the spectators, I
Mhm.
would be judging and refereeing tournaments. So.
Yeah, which you're also yeah, and you're very, very well known as that. How did the injuries heal up though? Are you okay? Like, or was there any residual effect in any of those?
Oh, the knees, I still have to do, injections every year for my knees. And
What kind of injections are they doing? What do they do there?
it's like a type of cortisone.
Yeah.
It's something else, but similar. And it's like a a liquid that goes into your knees
Yeah.
and to help move and do kicks but the doctor said, it's never gonna be the same. You need a knee replacement, but in the future. But that's the Kyokushin mentality back in the days. You were injured and
Keep
you would
going.
continue. And I had a torn ligament
Mm.
for 4 years before I got an operation.
Ugh.
But I would still like do fighting and everything. It popped out, and then we put it back in. But now with the kids, with my kids, if something happens, I would tell my kids, look at my knees, take a break, and that's how we learn.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and that was the quote unquote Kyokushin way, and a lot of sports back then, like just overcome, push through pain and all that stuff. But we have come a long way, and
Mm.
science is there. I mean, you do need to rest now. I mean, there's a lot of even interviews I see with pro fighters, both from Glory or from UFC or whatever, and they don't even do a lot of like hard sparring. They don't do a lot of things because exactly what you're saying. They want to keep those injuries to a minimum and
Yeah,
just work more on the fitness side of it and let that stuff recover.
yeah. Now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah.
A little too late for you, but what about have you ever looked at anything like stem cells or anything like that?
Until like the last time I checked in Canada, it's illegal for stem cells to go in your body.
Sir, I don't know what it's like in Quebec. I know in because I looked at because I had an injury that I was looking at too because I had a spinal surgery before and it was acting up.
Mm.
So you can no, you can get it. It's a different type of stem cell that they do in Canada. I'm not too clear on it, but anyway, you can get it done.
Okay.
Um, I know it's not cheap, but yeah, the alternative. A lot of people go to Mexico or South America and get it done. But yeah, I just know a few people have been getting it, and it's made me think because they come back and they say, within 6 months they feel like they have a brand new whatever shoulder, knee, whatever the case may be. So again, science catching up. We shall
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
We'll see.
we'll see.
Yeah. Maybe do
You're
some.
still moving. You're still
Yeah.
doing well. Like I think I said in another podcast, I see people like Shihan Judd Reed
Mm.
and others who have had like hip replacements and
Yeah.
they're still going, doing squats, kicks, and everything. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different than before. Before operation would be longer. When I did my meniscus in '99, I think it was very long. Like now, if you get a meniscus operation, they tell you to walk after a couple of days.
Yeah, so that's a big thing too. When I had my I had two spinal surgeries. The first one I had in '98. I have no issues now, but in '98, and back then they used to tell you rest. Like
Yeah.
after you have your surgery, go to bed, stay in bed for a couple. Now it's complete opposite. You have
Yes.
something, they want you in physio immediately. Start
Yeah.
working out,
Move.
strengthening yeah, movement. So you were alluding to you started getting into refereeing and coaching. What drove you in that direction?
Uh, Shihan Isobe from
Oh yeah,
Brazil.
yeah.
Yeah. He. I like his energy doing when he was doing refereeing. So I'm and I liked his energy. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do like him. And I would practice at home. So I had like back in the days we had the VHS, so we had
Yeah.
to that it cost $100 American to get, and now it's all free on YouTube. So it's
Again.
cool. It's all yeah, back in the days, but and I would be in my room, and I would have like made up like some flags in my room, and I would be judging the fighting in front of me,
That's so
and
cool.
that's how I practice my reflex, and that's what I tell my students, like practice. Fighters are looking at videos of the other fighters so they can learn and see the movements. Refereeing the same thing. You have to have make your reflexes better. So look at tournaments, and then react and give your decision. So I would be in my room and doing refereeing, and my parents would be like, "Okay, he's karate, karate, karate." Yeah.
So you were obsessed with it?
Oh yeah, since I was a kid, I have a Kyokushin in school. Don't show this to my kids. But in school, my teacher in computer class, they would say, you have to do a text on whatever, and I would do a text on karate, and I would do business cards back then. I would be doing like a CV, or I would planning a tournament that I was like looking ahead in the future. And I was always doing that. So the teacher at the end of the year, she's like, "You didn't do much here." I'm like, "Oh yeah," but she's like, "But I like your work, so it's good. You're passing." So I had a good teacher. It was always a passion for me.
Yeah. Well, and obviously so. Like, I mean, look at the dojo behind you. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
So we
You
were talking,
students.
yeah, we were speaking a little bit offline about that. Tell people about that. I mean, first of all, what inspired you? Like, it looks very, lack of better word, Japanese. Like, it
Yeah.
looks like a traditional Japanese dojo. What inspired you to do this style, and then how did it come about with the help of your students?
My first dojo was in Montreal, in a little small like gym, and then we moved in the South Shore, and it
Yeah.
was too far to go from South Shore to Montreal. And the day that I realized it was too far is when we had a snowstorm, and it took me 3 hours to go teach. 1 hour class, and then had a 3 hour like traffic. So it took me 6 hours driving for 1 hour of teaching. So I talked to my wife, and we're like, yeah, we need to open a dojo in the South Shore where I live. And I live in a city which we didn't have karate back then. So we rented a small location, and we started from nothing, and no students. We didn't plan ahead. We just wanted to open. We opened the dojo, and for about 6 months, we were the only students in our dojo. And then slowly we had more students. We had to make it bigger, to the location. So the lady next door was kind enough to move across the building for us to have that place. So
Oh, you could expand.
exactly, expansion of the dojo. So we had like a 2,000 square feet of location. And again, we had an opportunity to have the whole second floor for a good price. So we decided to take it, and we have two dojos in this floor. We have one dojo with wooden floors, and I told my wife, yeah, we need to do something Japanese. So I remember looking at Soul Size Dojo and Nakamura's dojo. They have a similar kind of dojo, with the wooden front and the calligraphies and everything. So two of my students are retired, and I showed them this, and they're like, "Yeah, we can make it." I'm like, "What? Yeah, we're gonna make it for you." So they worked for over a month, maybe more, 8 hours a day, and they built this beautiful dojo for the students, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, obviously so. I mean, like it's absolutely gorgeous. It is, and I remember that when this came together on social media, seeing it and seeing the students working on it. That's incredible. Another thing about karate and Kyokushin, how it's not like going to a gym. It's not like going to whatever. Like
No,
the students really, they become family. They
yes,
become members, or I don't know even what to call it. Like it's incredible how like they would do something like that, and we see it ourselves at our dojo. It's it's pretty amazing.
yeah, it's family. It's
Yeah.
they're close. You see their students, and you can see one day that they don't feel good. They have something bothering them. You can see it in their face. That's how close you become with the students. When you go to the gym, the guy, the lady at behind the counter says hi, doesn't care if you're okay. If you have something, they're not going to ask you, are you okay? It's not the same. In the dojo, you ask, are you okay? What's going on? And then you go and you go talk to the person. I'm like, yeah, you can talk to me. And it's more family oriented than just some members coming in and going home after.
Yeah, members. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you end up having like a new opening ceremony for this one?
I think so. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
long time ago, but yeah, I think so. We had a few dojos coming in,
Yeah.
and like always, we do events open to all organizations. I'm part of So-Kyokushin, but
Yeah.
my refereeing classes, my events, everybody's invited. So yeah.
How long have you been a member of So-Kyokushin? And that is one organization I really respect a lot for many different reasons.
Um, I've been member for an organization since the beginning. So 2012, they added
Okay.
me in the organization. Yeah. Sean Cameron Quinn came to my dojo in 2012. And that was the first time I was training with him. I met
Yeah.
him in Japan in 2001, and with Facebook, and so we started talking, and we didn't have much students, and we took a chance and invited him to do a seminar here. And luckily, we had a lot of students from outside dojos, and they helped us out. And Shan Cameron Quinn told me, you have a good dojo. There's a new organization you should join. And I'm like, okay. And I see on their website that I'm there. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go to see them in Japan, and I'm gonna go see Oishi Hanshi and back then
Yes.
Hasegawa Hanshi. And so I told my wife, I need to go to Japan. And since 2013, I'm official member for So-Kyokushin. And we were like the first dojo here in North America. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was it about that organization that made you accept it and stay?
Shan Cameron Quinn, that's for one,
Yeah, he's
because
amazing.
yeah, I respect him a lot. And
Yeah.
when we travel and we're in Japan together, he always takes care of me. And
Um,
and I'm very happy to have him, like I could say, as a friend. And so I joined the organization, and especially with Oishi Hanshi, who's an amazing technician.
oh my God, that guy is a huge inspiration for me too. Like, how do you know how old is he now?
I think he's 65, 68, something like that. Yeah.
That man moves like better than most people I see in their 20s. Like
Yeah.
it's he's and not just moves and just the way he carries himself. Yeah, I get goosebumps just thinking he's incredible. He really inspires me.
You get goosebumps, talking about him.
Yeah.
Imagine you going to his dojo and you have private classes with him. That's
See, I
amazing.
just got goosebumps again.
Yeah.
So you've done that. What was that like?
He's very open to give like details in kata, and that's what I like. But you were a fighter. You always thought of fighting, and people like put katas aside. But I think kata is important to keep in like the reflex, and les reflex, the reflex. And with Hanshi, you're gonna do the kata 4 or 5 times, and sometimes he gives 4-hour classes when we go there, and that's 4 hours that he gives his time to us, and it's amazing. And his dojo are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what aspect? Like technically everything.
Techniques. They're good in kata. They're good in fighting. They have the All Japan champion there. They have the kata All Japan as well, kata champion.
Yeah,
So,
and again, that's one of the things I love about So-Kyokushin. So well rounded. They put just as much emphasis on the kata as they do on kumite, and which is amazing. And I was speaking to oh, who was it? I was speaking to Sensei. Darren Stringer about this. Because he's a kata world champion as well as kumite.
oh,
And when I saw him doing kumite, it wasn't just that his fighting is just really good. His technique is it was just it's like out of a movie. I said it was just perfect technique and the way he would explode. And he was saying like so much of that came from the emphasis that he puts on kihon.
oh.
The emphasis that he puts on kata and stuff. So again, huge respect to So Kyokushin because you guys seem to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, because our champion is a kata champion, so
Right.
he's not only fighting champion. He teaches katas, he does seminars of kata, and he is a kata champion. So he's a role model.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's your thoughts on that? Like, because you do see, especially this day and age, you see because people are, especially young people, they're so gravitated towards MMA or kickboxing, whatever, and they come into Kyokushin and they like it and they like the fighting and that, but sometimes the kata portion, they're just like, they don't care about it.
I think it's when you go to the gym, some people like cardio, some people like weights, some
Mm,
people like both. It's all different, like in your taste.
mm,
How you feel.
mm,
Um, I think if you have a good teacher telling you, do some katas, they don't enforce you. They don't force you to do katas, but like they're
mm,
like, do katas and practice for your fighting. If you have that aspect, maybe the student's gonna, realize that it's important.
mm.
But we're all different human beings. Sometimes hard-headed everywhere.
Yeah, I think and age plays a factor too. Definitely. I mean, even myself, I'm getting up there, and as much as I like fighting and stuff, I can't do so much of it anymore. And I could feel myself. I'm putting more emphasis I'm drawn towards kata and stuff and bunkai and all these types of things
Yeah.
now. Um, and that's something you can carry with you. Again, I talked about in other podcasts. Those elements you can carry with you forever. Like you can
Yes.
practice into your 70s or 80s or whatever they're, you know, God willing, into your 90s.
Hmm.
Kumite, on the other hand, well, she only goes so far. Maybe some
But
light
that
sparring.
that's the beauty with Kyokushin karate
Yes.
because you do fighting, you can do kata, you can do breaking tournaments,
Mm,
you can do. I think IFK has clicker
yep.
point system. You can have referee classes. You can be a judge. You can be a center referee. So you have a lot of aspect you can concentrate in Kyokushin, which is
Mm,
good.
yeah. Yeah. It's something there that you can work on for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is kind of an off the wall question, but it's something, and it's always talked about. Why is Kyokushin so big in Quebec?
I don't know. We had a lot of dojos back in the days.
Mm,
I know that some of them closed, but the students of those dojos opened more dojos. So we have tons of dojos here in Quebec. It's huge.
it is. Like, you
Yeah,
guys are the mecca in Canada. I
yeah.
mean, like Sensei Steve Fogarasi, when he came here, I know that was a bit of, I'm sure it was a bit of a challenge for him because it's so small here. It's just a handful of dojos, and we couldn't have tournaments here because it was illegal and all that, which is now since been overturned. So we're actually looking at, hopefully when this whole COVID thing is over, because we were looking at this fall, so now it would be in the next year, but having a tournament here, and hopefully get some of the guys and gals from Quebec to come here for a
I'm pretty
change.
sure because we were able to always go to the States to go fight. So
Yeah,
Toronto's not that far.
yeah, yeah. So
And,
we've been looking at. Pardon me.
and with Canadian money,
Yeah, exactly.
which is good.
Yeah, but and just I mean, this is one of the reasons I do this. Like, I want to build Kyokushin, but not and not just locally for Toronto. Obviously, I just want to bring Kyokushin back to what it was before, or bigger. Like, I want it to be as well known as like BJJ is today, and try to promote it as much as I can. So tournaments help. And on that note, you run a really successful tournament in Quebec. How did you get into promoting tournaments and building that up?
Again, it was a dream from childhood dream,
Yeah.
and I did a small tournament in 2000,
Hmm.
which was the Masoyama Cup, and back then I was with Aikeo Sosai with
Hmm.
Christina Oyama, and we did that tournament in my old dojo. It was on like a K1 style because it was in a ring, and you had two fighters doing like Kyokushin rules, but in the ring, and I liked it, to promote that. And then when we moved back in South Shore, we did a tournament. And the first time was to get money for leukemia,
Oh, yes, yes.
because one of my students who passed away had leukemia. So
Oh, I'm so
we
sorry.
did, like a um, get money for that,
Hmm.
that
Raise, yeah,
yeah,
right.
a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So, and then we continue doing the tournament, and we named the tournament after Shihan Jacques, the
Yes.
giant
Yes.
of Kyokushin.
Yes.
So that's why it's called Budo Giant Challenge, because it's a challenge for the giant in the Budo karate world.
Yeah, I was actually just going to allude in that, so you just beat me to it, how it came about that name, because I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've gone to your tournament a couple times too, both just as a spectator and my friend Nori Yoshida from Japan, who was staying with me, competed in your tournament.
So
Yeah, and did quite well there. So, what's your plans? Do you hope to build that tournament? What's your goal there with the tournament?
we still do tournaments. With that last year we did a more international because we had Japanese fighters.
Hmm.
We had Japanese fighters with a good group of fighters, and I remember when I was training, I used to go had to work because we need to pay the tournaments, and I remember that it was difficult sometimes for a student to train, work, and have all those expenses. So what we do is that our full contact tournament, there's no charge for those fighters.
Yeah.
So I want them to have, to be have a clear head. No saying, I cannot do it this year because I don't have the money. We do it free for them,
That's awesome.
and we just want them to fight and have fun, and then come back the next year.
Yeah. And it's building. I mean, it's a very respected tournament. Obviously, our dojo goes there all the time, and
Yeah.
we're hoping to go again this year.
It's not because of me. It's because of I have an amazing team.
Yes.
I have a team that is in charge of the tables.
Yes.
All the charts. I have a team that's for the spectators. I have a team for security. I have a team for food. I have a team for everything. So
That's very organized.
Oh yeah, like that. If something happens, I'm gonna know it, and if I know it, it's because something terrible happened. Otherwise,
Otherwise it's
everybody's in charge of their department, and that's why it runs well because they have passion and they love doing it.
yeah, and you can see it.
Yeah,
It's a very, very respected tournament.
I'm very lucky.
You are. Well, I don't know if it's hard work. Hard work builds good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. One thing in Quebec is because there are so many organizations and so many dojos, there's sometimes we feel like there's tournaments every second weekend.
Yes.
And, it's hard. You're trying to choose who do you, especially if you're coming from abroad.
Yes.
Who do you go to? Has there ever been talk of like the dojos, respective of organization, just creating like maybe one super tournament, bringing in everybody or anything like that? Has there any discussions?
I think they did. They were doing a tournament named the Daigeki.
Oh yeah, yes.
So yeah, that was supposed to be I think in May because of the COVID-19. It was postponed for next year. I think they do it every 4 years, and it's a big tournament, and some tournaments are canceled because of that tournament, so they leave that date available for that tournament.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's very difficult. Everybody wants to do a tournament. I think because when I was young, when I was competing, we had 2 tournaments. One full contact, one semi-contact per year.
Right.
And then you had the one, because of the brand chiefs, separation, we had the one in Montreal, and you have a semi-contact in Montreal. And then we had the New York with the Gorai Shihan. And that was it. We were not allowed to go anywhere else. But now everybody's free. And so everybody's doing tournaments. And like that, everybody, my students love it. I have one student that she's always wanted to go. She wants to go there and here. I'm like, ask your parents first. And the parents said, yeah, let's go. My daughter likes it. Let's travel. And they were like, we were going to Japan. Like right now, we were supposed to be in Japan. But because of the COVID,
oh, really?
We're here.
What were you doing? What were you going to go for Japan for this time? Was
it tournament
with So-Kyokushin?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay.
Yeah.
And you
for next year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, hopefully all this stuff will be behind us. So how many times have you made it to Japan now?
7 times.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
But when I go there, it's not for sightseeing. Like I go to Hanshi Oishi's dojo, and he teaches me the katas, and because you always have changes in katas, and we always try to follow what Hanshi Oishi asked us to do. And so, what's the best way to go over there and learn from the master?
That's nice that you keep doing that and you're going back there. That's 7 times. I'm a little bit jealous, not going to lie. So, and I know that you also, and I hope you don't mind me saying, you study Japanese. How good is your Japanese now? Are you conversational, or how can you get by?
When I go to Japan and Hanshi's there, when we talk karate in the dojo, I don't need that much translation. Yeah,
Translation.
translation. Thank you. Because when they explain something, they always move and they show you, and you can like
Yeah,
assimilate some
I call
words
it
you heard in the past.
I call it dojo nihongo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but if I go to the street or restaurant, I'm lost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank God for Google Translate.
I know. I
Mm.
know. Yeah, and technology. That's I was wondering that actually, even with myself, because it's something I've been working on. But technology is catching up to the point where I don't even know if we're going to need to learn languages. Like you're going to speak into something and then just go back and forth.
Exactly.
But it's good for the brain. It's good for the soul to learn it. You feel more part of it.
Yeah, if it's for to learn comfortable on your couch, it's okay. But
Yeah.
when you're in Japan, you
Under
need to
pressure.
drink, you need to go somewhere, you need to catch the train, the good train, because if you catch the wrong train, you can go and the other side of Japan. So Google Translate is very helpful.
Yeah. What keeps you drawing you to go back to Japan?
Uh, the
Is it
train,
kanchi? Yeah.
the, the energy over there, it's everybody says their energy, but it's something, different when you arrive there. And it's the birthplace of Kyokushin karate. So
Was
I'm always, every time I go there, I travel to Tokyo and I go to in front of Sosai's Hombu Dojo.
was.
We can't go in because of politics.
Mm.
And just imagine the Japanese fighters training in the park nearby. And when I brought my students almost 4 years ago for the last world tournament, we trained in that park. And I told them,
Ah.
the world champions were training in this park. You can see on videos, Nakamura, Matsui, Masuda, training there in that park. So I told them, be happy and remember this, that you were training in front of Soul Size Dojo.
Was.
Uh, I managed to go in once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh, it was, I think, 4 years ago. It was a rainy day, and I'm like, it was the day before I was leaving Japan for Montreal, and so I'm like, I'm gonna go see. You never know. If you don't ask, you
Mm.
never know. So I go there, and it's raining, and the dojo, of course, is closed, but I can hear the kihon in the second floor. I can hear them, with the windows open. And I'm standing in front, and I see students looking at me in the window. And then you see Miyaki Shihan, who's looking down, and then Suzuki Kancho back then look at me, looking down, and he sees me. So I'm waiting about half an hour. I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll sleep in the plane. I don't mind being all, wet with the rain. And everybody's leaving the dojo, and you can hear the taiko, at the end of the class. I'm like, okay, this is good timing because the class is finishing. Everybody's going to come out. And I was standing in front, and Suzuki Kancho was like, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, every time I come here, you always say no, but like I'm leaving for Japan, from Montreal, and I would love, even if it was like 2 minutes to be in Soul Size Dojo. And he looks at me and he's like, okay, 2 minutes. So we put the shoes in like in the main in the lobby, and we go upstairs. And he says, okay, you're here, but no pictures. I'm like, okay, I respect that. And I was there for 2 minutes, and when I came out, I had a smile. I don't smile that much, but I would FaceTime my wife, and she's like, what happened? I'm like, I went to Soul Size Dojo, and she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was able to go there, but I was standing for 2 minutes, and it was amazing. It's a small dojo, but you know that you had history there. The
Legends.
100-man kumite, you had people training there. You have Dolph Lundgren training there. You had demonstrations, with Soshu Shigeru Yama with his brother, and Howard Collins there. We had all that history, and I was like, oh, I'm lucky. I'm very happy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible that you actually got to be in there and experience it. Definitely something. No photos, but it's stuck in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I alluded off the top of this when I was looking at your bio and stuff like that, that you were doing bodyguarding for some people. How did that come about, and how long ago, and whose bodies did you guard?
I was working for a security company, so we were working for the jazz festival and
Oh yeah, yeah.
the Francophonie, and I always asked them, you have bodyguard stuff, just tell me. Now I'm always fascinated by that. And they're like, okay, so we have a job for you. You go work at Much Music, but in Montreal, like Musique Plus, but
Mhm.
so. And I was working there, and you had Wyclef Jean, Céline Dion, and stuff like that. People like that, and I was with them. So I told him, that was cool, but you have something, as a bodyguard, to be all dressed up and to
Mhm. Yeah.
go to place and say, we need to know the exits, where he's going to be seated, and all that, and the routes. And they're like, yeah, we have a job for you, and it's Gérard Depardieu, French actor. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, And where are we going? They're like, we're going to the museum, and then you're gonna have the Prime Minister of Quebec there. He's gonna give an award to Gérard Depardieu. And so we had our cars, our limo, in the garage parked nearby. And so I was like with the bodyguards from Sûreté du Québec there, and I was with Gérard Depardieu, and back then was Jacques Parizeau,
Mhm.
the Prime Minister. And I was with them, and then we were going to the restaurant, and we were eating with them at a separate table. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. No, they were going outside to talk, and we were like on Sherbrooke Street, and you had Jacques Parizeau with Gérard Depardieu talking in the street, and we were there guarding them, and that was amazing. And I called my boss. I'm like, yeah, this is good, and if you have any more, just contact me. Like, if you don't want to pay me, I don't care. Just put me there.
Just for the experience, yeah.
Yeah. And then we had Robert De Niro,
Yeah.
and we had Martin Scorsese at the same time,
Yeah.
and and then we had Jackie Chan and Sofia Loren. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you get to talk to Jackie Chan at all, or was it
Yeah,
just
very very kind. He was,
really?
we were he was promoting a new movie,
Mm.
and so we're in the main stage of the film festival in Montreal, and he goes on stage, and you have like thousands of people in front of you, and you never know what's going to happen, because you always have somebody who can throw something at him. And so I'm on the stage in front of all those thousands of people. I felt so small, but I was excited to be with Jackie Chan. And when we went back to the hotel room, we had like chairs in front of the room, and he comes out with a plateau of fruits, and he's like, "Guys, you want to eat something?" Not his assistant. He came out to treat us well. So
Nice.
that was something very, very good. Like an international star who cares about anybody else. That's
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. So all of these years of experience you have now teaching, refereeing, traveling, what is the essence of Kyokushin for you? What does Kyokushin mean to Shihan Hugo Perez?
For us is life. That's the only thing I know what to do best.
Mm.
I stopped working. I'm a full-time teacher, unemployed right now because of the COVID-19,
Yes,
but
it
we
was a
still give classes, online classes for our students. And I have my two little assistants, who's our sons, and they're always there to help me. And when I go teach somewhere other place in my other dojos that I have, they always come and help. And they're young, but um, they're taking responsibility, on doing the warm up in front of everybody else. My son, who's 7 years old, he would do the warm up in front of 50 people here and adults, and he would do and tell everybody, okay, let's do the ankle and then the hips. And you know, when I was a kid, at 7 years old, I would never be able
yeah.
to be in front of that many people. But my sons are okay because they were always in that environment.
Grew up in it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure in the future that's going to show in their character.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
1,000%. That must make you so proud.
Yeah, very proud.
Yeah. And what your philosophy on teaching itself? Like, do you first of all, do you structure like how many classes a week do you guys do for adults, say?
And in our main dojo, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and
Right.
Saturday, and then we have day classes for people that work evenings.
Mm.
But I
Oh, that's
teach,
nice.
yeah, I teach Monday in one city, Tuesday in the main dojo, Wednesday another city, Thursday another city, and then Saturday in the main dojo. So I'm always, traveling to teach,
Hmm.
and I have like I told you, I'm very lucky because I have a great team. So when
Yeah.
I'm gone, they're always here to teach, and they have their own group. And some of them are more cardio, some of them are more kata, others are more kumite. But everybody's enjoy, that difference in classes.
And but do you structure it where you have like, Mondays are more focused on Kihon, Wednesdays is this, or Friday Kumite or whatever the case, or is it just a blend?
Whatever it's like, you can feel the energy in the dojo. Sometimes you can see the students are like very tired. So it's not going to be like a hardcore class because
Right.
you can see that they're. I don't want them to get injured and stuff like that. So we do something else, but we don't have fixed dates. Saying Mondays or katas, because if you have Monday katas, the people who don't like katas, they're gonna go on Tuesdays,
That's a
and
good point.
so yeah,
That's a good point. Yeah, so you mix it up.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
always start with Kihon, and then we do something else. So
Yeah.
we start with the basics, and then we do something else, either Kihon or then kata or then kumite or hitting the pads. Sometimes you just need to hit the pads and
100%.
to come out of the dojo exhausted. And the week that it was horrible, the pads had that negativity now. So you're supposed to be very with a smile on your face. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. How do you find that, again, we were talking about the COVID thing. How is it affecting dojos in Quebec? I mean, we talked about here in Ontario, it's a brutal atmosphere right now. A lot of people are pretty nervous, and we're hoping it comes to an end.
Yeah.
What's the I don't know, feeling, if you will, in Quebec?
I know that some dojos are. It's very difficult right now.
Mm,
I know that others like myself, we continue doing like online classes, and we still, we have, like I said, amazing students because they do online classes and they're still paying their dues,
yes,
for the monthly dues. They're
yeah,
still paying for that.
that's awesome.
Because, like I told my students, we still have to pay rent, we still have to pay
Yes,
hydro and all that, expenses,
yeah,
and and the government is not giving us until now anything. So
yeah.
we have to, you know, think about our students, and our students think about us. And they did, and for my dojo, they still continue paying, and luckily we're until now we're good.
That's great.
Yeah, hopefully it's not going to continue that further in the month,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
And that's I love to hear that. I mean, it speaks a lot about your dedicated students
Hmm.
and how much they respect you and stuff. But I think it also speaks volumes about you then as an instructor, as a Shihan, for them to to invest in you like that. Basically, I mean they're sticking around, sticking by your side.
Yeah. Uh, and it's not only me. Like it's
Mhm.
like I told him, it's a family thing.
Yeah.
And it says Sound de Karate Perez in the front of the dojo, but it's a family atmosphere. It's we're strict because we don't play around during class, but we always take care of our partners, and our students and our friends.
Mhm. And when you say it's strict, do you take so when you're in Japan training and
Yes,
with Hanshi or whatever, is
yes.
the training there very I don't know what the word traditional, for lack of a better word? Um, and if so, if or not, do you kind of build your classes back in Quebec on that same model?
We try, but sometimes it's very difficult because and in Quebec in my classes we have an hour of class.
I
You
see.
know, we don't have longer classes. It's because our classes are from 7 to 8. You know, people sometimes left for work in the morning and then come straight to the dojo and they arrive at home at 9. Sometimes you need to see the family. So we only do 1 hour class. In Japan, they're an hour and a half to 2 hour classes. So then they do like the Kihon, and then they do Ido Kion, they do Kata, they do push-up, sit-up, squats, musculation. I don't know say in English.
Conditioning.
And then they finish with fighting.
Yeah.
So that's a traditional way of like that they train. Yeah.
And what about the philosophy though? Like, are they strict with their training, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're strict with even with the kids are strict.
Really?
They're they're it's in school, like it's in their how they are in school as well. They're very strict in school, at home.
Very disciplined.
Yeah, the discipline. And it's a different culture, the culture is very different as ours, and the students are different, we try to put it in place in our dojo. Like every time we finish a class, they have to take a broom and start the dojo, the soji. And I know some dojos they don't do it, and some Japan dojos don't do it anymore. But we try to do it. We try to keep that mentality of keeping our dojo clean and our home, clean. And but Japan are very strict with their kids and their training.
I know. I was reading an article about I know, again, I don't know if it's all across Japan, but a lot of schools, junior schools and high school, they don't even have janitor staff. The kids clean the school. So they're expected at the end of the school day to make sure everything's swept, clean, tidied, and all that stuff. Like, I can't even imagine kids here in North America expecting to do that at the end of a day.
Not here.
Yeah. So that's why I was wondering how much of that discipline and philosophy can you bring into your own dojo back in Quebec? How far can you push it, like, in terms of discipline?
A lot of parents come to our dojo and they're like, "Yeah, my kids need discipline." I'm like, we're a dojo here. We're not parents. Discipline starts at home.
Yes.
We just continue to discipline, here.
Yeah.
But we try to be strict with our kids, and they have good results at the end.
Yes. Yes. And how do you, on a personal side, how do you balance, like you said, you have these different dojos and these classes and stuff. How do you balance all that with your own personal life? And
with my kids, when my wife is at home, the kids stay home. Otherwise, they come with me and they train and they do a lot of karate classes. But for them, it's like a little job. They help me. And when they help, they have a little, like a $2 per class. And at the end of the month, they can buy whatever they want. And they're very happy because they work for that money. So they helped out. And that's hard, like their allowance.
Yep.
It's they come and help me at the dojo.
That's awesome. And you're left with enough free time with the wife, with the weekends and things like that?
Yeah, because, Sundays we don't have anything. Sometimes, sometimes I give the referee classes on Sundays because Saturdays we're booked.
Right.
So sometimes it's a full weekend, and the amount of tournaments that we have and seminars, there's a few weekends that I'm not there. But luckily, my wife's schedule, sometimes her weekends are, during the week. So it's easier for us.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any future aspirations now for the dojo or for the tournaments or anything in general in terms of Kyokushin?
For our dojo, no. Continue doing
and for yourself as well in terms of Kyokushin. What are your? Do you have any further goals or anything that you're going to be working towards?
To bring to bring more students to the World Tournament.
Yeah.
And continue doing whatever we do. As joint referee classes. We have Shinkyukshin, whatever organization they come to our dojo, and I go to anybody else dojo to teach. The referee, I'm always helping everybody because everybody is helping us. It's the term, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. And it's always like that, people help us and we help them. And that's how we do many tournaments. I think until now we had a tournament every month.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
and also even what you're alluding to, it's one thing, and it comes up, I think, in every podcast and stuff I do, is that sense of community in Kyokushin.
Mm.
For the most part, it doesn't matter what people's organizations and politics and all that stuff. Like once people see that kanji or whatever the case may be, it's just respect us
Oh,
and
of course.
you're like a brother. What can I do? Invitations or whatever the case may be. And I love that. I really,
Yeah.
really love that.
Anywhere you go, you have the kanji. Anywhere you
Yeah.
go, you're gonna hear us in the crowd,
Yeah.
and they will start talking to you, and then they're like, yeah, you want grab a cup of coffee, or something like that, and you have a new friend in like another country
It's
because
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I now have so many friends all over and even on vacation because I have a tattoo of it on me. And I remember being this with my girlfriend walking along, we're in Mexico and just walking along and all of a sudden I hear, "Oos!" And this guy comes running over because he sees it and he's trained for years and stuff. And again, it's immediate. Hey, what's your name? Where you come?
Yeah.
It's and again, back to what you were saying about the tournament thing, like, um, you know, I really do hope it gets to a point where it doesn't matter what organizations people come from, that, we're just all here to build Sosai's dream and build Kyokushin.
I think it's you still have organizations that they don't want you to join because they have like issues between the two, the presidents of that organization. That I understand, but I think politics need to stay out of our dojos and
Exactly.
work together. I don't
Hmm.
have an issue with Sensei Steve. I don't have an issue with IFK or other organizations. We're open. You invite us. If we have the time, we're more than happy to go and help out, and do the tournament
Hmm.
and bring students and help as referee because that's what we do, and that's what Kyokushin community does.
Yeah, exactly.
Because,
Exactly.
like I was saying, back then we only had two tournaments, and
Yes.
we're not allowed to go to anybody else's tournament. So it was always difficult. You always see we didn't have Facebook. We used to, hear other people say, "Oh, I went to that tournament." I'm like, "Which one?" Like I didn't know about that one.
Exactly.
But now, it's you're open to every organization. You have tournaments every month, sometimes two a month, or sometimes two in the same day. And
Yeah, that happens too. Yeah.
yeah, because it's difficult to find a good place, a good gym to
Yeah.
hold your tournament. And you had sometimes like my tournament's in October. Sometimes it arrives at the same times as Shihan Monaco in Rochester. So we try to move our tournament to
Just
have two
accommodate.
tournaments, a different date. But it's difficult because we have to follow, our school's schedule.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find a good place and not that expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, at the end of the day, those are the things you have to look at too. But yeah, you're right. Amazing choice. And I mean, even with us, as you alluded to, like we do belong to IFK and we do have a handful of dojos now and some in Quebec. And when tournament season does come up, that discussion does come up. Okay, you guys go to this tournament
Yeah,
because there are so many and we can spread out now. So that's
exactly.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. And it's good for students because they get so much experience from different,
Yes.
you know.
And you
Uh,
fight somebody different. When
yes.
you always fight the same person at tournaments, it's kind of boring. You know how they are. Yeah, when you have somebody new in front of you, then you're like really, in a real tournament, in a real competition.
You're
Okay, you don't
tested.
know that person, and you're in a real challenge.
Yeah.
Then you're like, there are amazing fights. But when the two persons, fighters know each other, sometimes you can see their friends and they don't want to hit each other that hard. When you
Exactly.
see two different people that don't know each other, that they're amazing fights.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you have any parting words, philosophy, last words you'd like to send out, not only to your students, but anybody that's listening? And
I wanted to thank you for this amazing podcast. I've been listening since the first with the
yeah,
Shanjur Reed, and I was happy that you came back. Doing
thank
more
you.
podcasts because, and I'm very happy that you asked me to be in your podcast because, like I told you, I think last week, I still see myself as a kid trying to learn with these, amazing instructors. Shan Drew Reed, Shan Cameron Quinn. They're amazing, people. Shan Tom Callahan. And then you asked me to join this podcast, and I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know why, but he wants me in his podcast. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. But I'm very happy, and I'm very happy for you for your podcast.
Thank you. No, it's my pleasure. And of course, I wanted to ask you. I mean, again, I said off the top, like you're so well known in Kyokushin in Canada, and from talking to people in Europe, they know you. Your tournament is incredibly respected. You're incredibly respected, and that's all I want to do. I want to build Kyokushin. If it means more people enter the doors of your dojo because of this, that's all I care. I just want to build this.
Thank you. I'm inviting you and if the COVID-19 finishes, I hope it finishes. In October, we have our tournament, and you can do maybe a live podcast there with different instructors. You can do,
That'd be great.
interviews there.
That'd be amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you so much. I really, really
have free
appreciate that.
access everywhere. You want to go anywhere, you have free access. No problem.
Louis, thank you so much. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way? Like your website, Facebook, anything? Like what's the easiest way for people to look you up?
On Facebook, I think Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And my website is always karateperez.com
Mhm.
or just Karate Perez on Google, and you can find me there.
Awesome.
Oh,
Shihan, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know we went quite some time, so I hope I didn't eat up too much of it, but it was really a pleasure just hearing about all your experience. Thank you very, very much. I'm really
thank
honored.
you. I enjoyed it. Os.
Louis, talk soon.
Os.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye.